It happened so fast that no one in the crowded downtown charity festival could believe what they had just seen. A frightened little girl stumbled backward after a grown man roughly grabbed her arm, her favorite stuffed rabbit falling into the dust as she struggled to pull away. Hundreds of people froze. Phones came out. Parents gasped. The man laughed as if no one would dare challenge him. What he didn't know was that the terrified little girl wasn't only the beloved daughter of one of the city's youngest CEOs. She was also the entire world of a single father who had once stood inside the brightest lights of the UFC octagon, a man who had walked away from fame to keep one promise to his dying wife. Before this day ended, the bully would discover that true strength was never about throwing the hardest punch. It was about protecting the people who trusted you with their hearts. Before we begin, if you believe kindness is stronger than cruelty, forgiveness is more powerful than revenge, and everyone deserves hope and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel to become part of our growing community. Every parent carries invisible promises. Rowan Mercer carried only one. 6 years earlier, he had buried his wife, Claire, after an unexpected illness stole her far too young. Standing beside her hospital bed, he had promised that their daughter would never feel alone. The world remembered Rowan as an undefeated UFC champion whose relentless determination had made headlines across the country. But little Cora never cared about championship belts or television interviews. She only knew that her father made heart-shaped pancakes every Saturday morning, braided her hair with surprising patience, and never missed reading bedtime stories, even when exhaustion filled every muscle in his body. After retiring from professional fighting, Rowan had invested wisely and quietly built a sports rehabilitation company focused on helping injured young athletes recover safely. His business expanded faster than anyone expected. Within a few years, he had become the CEO of a respected company known as much for helping local schools as for earning impressive profits. Despite his success, Rowan dressed simply, drove an ordinary pickup truck, and spent every free afternoon with Cora. He believed that humility protected people from becoming prisoners of their own success. 8-year-old Cora inherited her mother's gentle heart. She collected stray flowers that grew through sidewalk cracks, rescued injured birds whenever possible, and believed every lonely person simply needed someone to notice them. Her teachers often said she possessed a kindness impossible to teach. That Saturday, the city organized its annual children's charity festival in the Central Park. Families laughed beneath bright summer skies while musicians performed cheerful songs and volunteers raised money for pediatric hospitals. Rowan had donated generously to the event but attended quietly like everyone else. He wanted Cora to enjoy an ordinary day without anyone recognizing her family's wealth. Unfortunately, not everyone came with good intentions. Grant Holloway had spent most of his adult life intimidating others. Nearly twice the size of many people around him, he enjoyed using fear whenever life failed to give him respect. Years of poor choices had left him unemployed, bitter, and convinced the world owed him something. Watching happy families somehow made him angrier. Seeing successful parents spending money on charity while he struggled with debt filled him with resentment. He refused to confront honestly. As children lined up for face painting, Cora noticed a younger boy crying because someone had accidentally stepped on his handmade toy airplane. Without hesitation, she handed him her own stuffed rabbit to comfort him while volunteers searched for tape to repair the airplane. She smiled warmly, believing kindness always multiplied when shared. Grant noticed the expensive bracelet on Cora's wrist, a simple gift from her late mother that carried sentimental rather than financial value. Assuming she came from a wealthy family, he convinced himself that frightening one spoiled child meant nothing. That he walked toward her with slow confidence. Witnesses later struggled to explain why no one reacted quickly enough. Sometimes evil arrives disguised as confidence, and ordinary people hesitate just long enough for something terrible to happen. Grant grabbed Cora's wrist harshly, intending to snatch the bracelet before disappearing into the crowd. Startled beyond words, she instinctively pulled away. Instead of letting go, he tightened his grip. Fear flooded her face. Across the festival, Rowan looked up from helping elderly volunteers unload bottled water. every parent recognizes the sound of their own child in distress that he saw Cora trying desperately to pull free. Everything around him disappeared. People expected the former champion to explode with violence. Instead, something far more remarkable happened. Rowan sprinted across the park with incredible speed but stopped several feet away, carefully controlling every emotion burning inside him. Years inside professional competition had taught him that anger destroyed judgment faster than any opponent ever could. His voice remained calm, his eyes did not. Grant laughed dismissively, believing he faced nothing more than another concerned father. He had no idea. Several spectators quietly recognized Rowan from old championship broadcasts. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Grant still didn't understand that he shoved Cora behind him roughly while warning Rowan to stay back. That single movement changed everything. The little girl stumbled and scraped her knees against the pavement. Rowan's heartbeat slowed instead of speeding up. Champions knew that calm minds made precise decisions. He stepped forward once. Grant swung wildly. The attack ended before most people realized it had begun. Rowan avoided the punch effortlessly, using years of disciplined movement. Without unnecessary force, he redirected Grant's momentum, secured control of his arm, and placed him safely but firmly onto the ground where escape became impossible. No repeated strikes. No dramatic beating. No unnecessary humiliation, only complete control. The crowd stood silent. Many expected rage. Instead they witnessed discipline. Rowan immediately released pressure once Grant stopped resisting and turned all his attention toward Cora. Her scraped knees mattered more than any victory. He gently picked up her stuffed rabbit from the dirt, brushed it clean, and hugged his trembling daughter until her breathing slowed. Many adults watching quietly wiped tears from their eyes. Police officers arrived within minutes after multiple emergency calls. Several witnesses provided identical statements confirming exactly what had happened. Security footage removed every possible doubt. Grant sat silently in handcuffs, finally realizing the man who had restrained him so effortlessly was the retired UFC champion whose fights he used to watch years earlier. Embarrassment settled heavier than fear. News of the incident spread rapidly across local media. Headlines focused less on Rowan's athletic history and more on his extraordinary restraint. Experts praised how he had protected his daughter without using excessive force. Parents across the country shared the story as an example of true strength. But Rowan refused every television interview. His daughter needed peace, not publicity. A week later, something unexpected happened. Grant requested permission to write Rowan a letter. Most assumed it would contain excuses. Instead, it contained regret. Sitting alone inside county jail had forced him to confront years of anger he had blamed on everyone except himself. Watching security footage repeatedly showed him the terrified expression on Cora's face. For the first time in many years, shame replaced pride. He admitted that Rowan could easily have seriously injured him but chose restraint instead. He confessed that this choice haunted him more than any broken bone ever could have. Rowan read the letter several times. Friends encouraged him to ignore it, others demanded harsh punishment. But Claire had always believed broken people changed only when someone offered truth without hatred. Rowan visited Grant.no. Reporters knew.no. Cameras followed. The meeting lasted less than an hour. Grant expected insults. He received honesty instead. Rowan explained that becoming a champion had never been about defeating opponents. The hardest battle had always been defeating the anger inside himself after losing his wife. Every morning he chose patience because Cora deserved a father led by love rather than pain. Those words remained with Grant long after Rowan left. Months passed. Grant completed counseling programs, anger management classes, and community service requirements assigned by the court after accepting responsibility for his actions. Rehabilitation proved harder than pretending to be tough. Many days he wanted to quit. He didn't. One afternoon Rowan received an unexpected invitation. A local youth center planned to renovate its neglected sports facilities but lacked volunteers. Grant's name appeared on the volunteer list. So did Rowan's. Many people wondered whether either man would attend. Both arrived early. The first few hours felt uncomfortable. Neither pretended the past had disappeared. Instead they quietly painted walls, repaired broken equipment, and assembled basketball hoops. Beside dozens of community volunteers, children cared little about old mistakes. They simply saw adults working together. Watching young athletes laugh inside a freshly restored gym reminded Grant of the childhood dreams he had abandoned decades earlier. For the first time in years, he believed his future did not have to resemble his past. Weeks later, Rowan surprised everyone again by donating training equipment to the youth center under one condition. No banners. No publicity. No building named after him. He wanted every child entering those doors to believe opportunities belonged to everyone equally. Cora became close friends with many children there. She often helped organize charity drives, remembering how frightening one terrible afternoon had been and how many strangers had stepped forward to help afterward. She never forgot the lesson her father quietly lived every day: strength protected, kindness healed, forgiveness transformed. Several years later, the renovated youth center became one of the city's safest places for children from struggling neighborhoods. Hundreds of teenagers discovered sports, mentorship, and confidence instead of violence. Grant eventually joined the staff as a maintenance supervisor after proving himself through years of consistent effort. Parents who knew his history watched carefully at first. Over time, they saw genuine change. He became the first adult to intervene whenever bullying appeared because he recognized the darkness growing inside young people before they recognized it themselves. One afternoon, a frightened little boy arrived after being bullied at school. Grant knelt beside him and quietly handed him a repaired toy airplane that another child had accidentally broken. The memory brought tears to his eyes. Years earlier, one little girl had comforted another child with the exact same kind of compassion. That single moment had unknowingly begun changing two lives instead of one. Rowan watched from across the gym with quiet gratitude. Championship belts eventually gathered dust. Business success rose and fell, news headlines disappeared, but character remained. As Cora grew into a confident young woman, she often told people her father taught her that courage was not measured by how hard someone could fight. It was measured by how gently someone chose to love after life had broken their own heart. Before we finish, leave a meaningful comment below and tell us this: what do you believe shows greater strength, getting revenge or choosing self-control when you have every reason to fight back? Your thoughts may encourage someone who needs that reminder today. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Remember that real heroes are not always the loudest people in the room. Sometimes they are the quiet parents who keep impossible promises, the children who choose kindness after fear, and the broken souls who find the courage to become better than the person they used to be. Every act of compassion plants a seed that may bloom years later in a heart you never expected to change, proving that hope, when protected with love and patience, is stronger than fear will ever be.